Have you ever heard the expression, it is better to give than to receive? And thought, yeah, well, that sounds great, but it'll never work in business. Well, one of my all-time favorite interview guests, Bob Burg, the co-author of the best-selling book, The Go-Giver, has some information that may change your mind on that topic. I was struck in the book, in the influencer book, when the character of the judge talked about how, with all of the litigants have come before her in her courtroom, she has never seen any litigant on either side of the court actually come in thinking about what the other person wants. Instead, it was all about what they want. And so I'm curious, any place in particular where the character of the judge came from, or where that story came from?
No, I mean, just from everyday life and from what happens all the time. There was a great friend of mine who had gone through a divorce, and they had a child, and it was joint custody, where the child would spend some time with the ex-wife, and then sometimes. And he was having issues. He came to me just as a friend, and he just told me he was having issues in terms of dealing with her, and that she was, selfish, and that she was this and she was that. And I said, well, what are you saying, when you have conversations with her? Well, I'm telling her what I want. I'm telling her what I need to have happen, and I'm telling her what we need, And I said, well, let me ask you this question. Have you asked her what she wants? You asked her what she's looking to accomplish and how this can work for her in a way that helps her to be comfortable. He said, no. And he went and did that. And, 15 years later, whenever he sees him, we see each other from time to time, he still thanks me for that one conversation. And again, it's not that I did anything special. This is just, it was easier for me to see as an outsider, right? Because we're tapping into human nature. You'll remember in the story with Jillian and Jackson, the two protagonists, both good people, both actually had something that the other wanted. Mm-hmm. So it should have been a business deal made in heaven, right? And yet what happened? Every time they talked to each other, they got further and further apart, and neither could understand what this other person could possibly be thinking. But what were both of them doing? They were focused on what they needed, not what the other person needed. So, and that's why, again, I say that when we talk about these things, there's nothing pie in the sky about this or magical, or this is just, it's understanding and respecting human nature, right? It's realizing that if you want to do business with someone, if you want to have a successful relationship with someone, you've got to look at it from their viewpoint.